The national anthem's being played, and the Swiss very proudly top of their section. They beat Sweden by 4-2, Iceland by 1-0, and Turkey 2-1 away from home. There is the side there, and many of these names familiar, of course, because yet again they played with a fair amount of credit in the United States, particularly Alain Suter, who was in outstanding form, Sforza, Thomas Bickel, and the defense, of course, well organized by Roy Hodgson, the British coach, who, despite the criticism he received after returning back to Switzerland, has kept coolly and professionally at his job. Now here, a Hungarian nation hungering for the success they used to have in the 50s and the 60s with the great sides. Sadly, and I say sadly because I think everybody was a lover of the genuine, beautiful way that the Hungarians played football. Sadly, their play has been in a steep decline. And every season, one hopes that they'll come back to the best in these famous cherry jerseys of these. Switzerland tried to play it coolly out of defense. I think that's going to be a free kick. Foul there, but seemed to be by Kovac. Well, ask any old-timers and they'll recite the names of the famous Hungarian teams. Hidekudi, Puskás, Bosic. They haven't been able to have stars like that emerge for a very long while. That's pushed forward by Kozma. Picked up there by Geiger. Roars of enthusiasm as that ball is beautifully put through there to Vinci. Well, he picked it up well. And they are making a little space for themselves, although I have to say I'm rather surprised that Hodiger was caught out of position there. Seemed to be ball watching. Suter. Into Bickel. Well, Petri got well behind that. Another indication, though, that the Swiss are there, prepared like Sforza there, to shoot on sight. Bickel with the free kick. Well, that could be touched in. Oh. While I look at the Hungarian defenders there, beautifully curved free kick there. Sforza almost getting the touch. Just playing it well to Vinci. And screaming inside him there was Helmai. And the trouble with Vinci there is he doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. Simply did not know that the player had made a run on the left-hand side. Watch Vinci coming in there. Good, solid performance, though, by the Hungarians. I thought the Swiss had played in a rather lackluster way against the Turks and got away with it. Getting something like that just now from them. Taken there by Subiat. He should have done better than that. As I said, they played not all that distinctively in Turkey, but they got the win there, and breakaways more than anything else. Might not be just so lucky tonight. Well, they dominated that first half, and I think the Swiss, having been very fortunate to play 45 minutes without conceding a goal, now growing in confidence. Although still a little bit lethargic like this. Players in the inside, there's Kieprich. No wonder he's celebrating. 5 minutes into the second half. A really glorious goal. Vinchke with it. Now that was a difficult header. Deciding to wrong foot the goalkeeper. He could have chosen just to place his head across the trajectory of the ball, but no, he decided on the angle. Trying to fight back. Real test there for Petri. Shouting some instructions for his defenders to get back. Speaking to Emrasco there, the fullback. I notice the Swiss players offered him no challenge. Bikel. Down it goes, great save. Subidat again. Oh, there's nothing more difficult for a ball for a goalkeeper when a ball is headed down like that and goes back up again. There's a touch. Another hero is Petri. That was Oro getting in. And we've just seen the best sequence of the match for Switzerland. Really getting their act together for the first time in the game, in fact. Oh, it's a break again. Illes trying to go through. He's still there. Oh, he's done it. I simply do not know how he kept control. I wonder if he'll survive that scrummage across there. Watch this. He might have been just a little bit fortunate, but he did keep his eye on the ball. Didn't lose his sense of position. And Pascolo could do nothing about it. Well, top of the section, 2 goals behind Hungary, who've been struggling in second bottom place. And we could be in for one of the major upsets of the night. Referee conceding a little push there. That's a free kick. Now Sutter has to be watched very carefully here. Normally very good at floating these in. That's another excellent one. It's there by Subidat. At last he's got it. If only by the law of averages, because he's had so many opportunities in the game. And at last one came his way. 73 minutes, and it's back to 2-1. Well, I did tell you about this man flighting it in. Although having said that, bad marking. Swiss with their tails up again, Hottiger with it. Well, this goalkeeper is turning out to be a man who might catch the eye of some scouts in the West. His name Petri, by the way, but I don't know his telephone number. Out comes Pascolo. Oh, the Jolie. Rather flat looking Swiss defense, but Hottiger just got a foot to it. Forward there by Kohler. Sutter lying very deep. Very much a thinking player, Alan Sutter. Remember the exciting burst he had in that Silverdome Stadium in Detroit. That great game they had with Romania. Oh, that's neatly flighted. It's almost in, it's gone in. Oh. Well, it took what you might call the tourist route to go there, because again it looked as if it was coming to nothing and then took the detour. Subidat goes up, misses it first time, and then off the back of the foot. Well, you cannot fault this man for lack of trying. He might have given up for loss, but he kept hanging in there. 2-2, quite a remarkable game. Oh, they've got to watch this. The Swiss breaking in strength. Held there by Sforza. He should have laid it off. Just a trifle selfish. There we are. Mike Wheeler pushed it to the far side. Orel coming up. I must say I feel sorry for the Hungarians. Badly needed a win tonight. They played some very good football. Turned out to have a great goalkeeper. And there goes the final whistle. You cannot take for granted this Swiss team. They looked well out of it. And Nestor Subiat, who'd had so many chances in the game, eventually claws them back to get a point out of this. Remember, of course, 3 points now in the championship, the European Championship. Good performance by Hungary, and for all my Hungarian friends go through in that section, all credit to Roy Hodgson. Turkey might be the surprise package.
Welcome back to the intimidating atmosphere inside the Feyenoord Stadium. Group 5 action next, and it's the Netherlands taking on the Minnows from Malta, the Maltese side, who go into battle for this one. They've only ever won 2 internationals in their history, those against Greece and Iceland. No one here expecting Holland to be their 3rd scalp. This is a group which sees Norway, Holland and perhaps the Czech Republic as the 3 fancied sides, per many 2 from those 3. The Dutch make 2 changes from the side who thumped Luxembourg here 5-0 before Christmas. Arthur Newman is on the bench tonight, and Yuri Mulder makes way for Clarence Zeedorf and Dennis Bergkamp. So as you see, that's a very strong Dutch 11 indeed for Guus Hiddink, now in charge after Dick Advocaat, and this his first match in charge that really matters after a couple of friendlies. So extended highlights coming up, a feast of goals as well, we can promise you. Wins so far home and away for the Dutch in Luxembourg, nothing less than they would have expected. 5-0 before Christmas as well on this very ground. But draws in Norway and then at home to the Czech Republic. As we said, leaving this group still wide open between those 3 nations. Norway currently leading, and the Dutch, who played a game more than the Czechs, are in 2nd place. So Malta will come to fight with spirit, to defend, to preserve, they hope, some dignity, and perhaps not be on the end of a severe drubbing. "30,000 plus have packed the Feyenoord Stadium in Rotterdam. It's a cool, brisk evening, but the pitch is perfect, a little give in it, and the players will appreciate that. Building from the back with Danny Blint. Now beneath us, Stan Valks on the ball for Eindhoven. Will get it back again, the Dutch number 2. Plays it square. Blint in no hurry, forward looking for Bergkamp, lurking on the edge of the D. Down goes the Inter Milan man. May not be an Inter Milan player at the start of next season. In fact, almost certainly will be leaving Internazionale in 3 months' time. But it's the first real moment of danger for the Dutch. And Clouet, the Maltese keeper, asking his wall to get it right from the free kick, and they do their job. First chance of the evening is over the bar, and Clouet not tested from the right boot of Wim Jonk. Guus Hiddink now in charge. The people's favourite Johan Cruyff still keeping the bench warm down in the Nou Camp. And Hiddink knows all about life in Spain, having previously coached Valencia. Brian Roy from Nottingham Forest on the far side, looking to get in behind the fullback, and does well. Roy with a cross that's cut out by the flying Clouet. I wonder if this is a night for the Floriana player to carve his name in footballing history. May not get too many chances in the big arena, but right now the spotlight falling on him and all these Maltese boys who have the chance, if not to cause an upset, then certainly to momentarily have their 50 moments of fame tonight at the Feyenoord Stadium. It's 0-0, still early stages in the first half. The Maltese, who've barely ventured out of their own half. In the white shirts, remember, and the red shorts, and they're playing from right to left in the first period, but they'll be defending for much of the game, I'm sure. And Dennis Bergkamp wins a race for the through ball with the keeper, but can't find the target, as the Maltese perhaps paying the penalty for having the temerity to come forward in any numbers for the first time, and lucky to see Bergkamp's shot rolling just the wrong side of the post. The crowd have come for a goal feast. They've come to salute the new coach, Guus Hiddink. And Brian Roy is the man they've also come to cheer on, in the hope that he, Bergkamp and Zeedorf will be amongst the goals this evening. Roy flashing a left foot shot that's inches over the crossbar. As the trumpeter on the terraces, a fixture here at Feyenoord, calls the tune. And it's the Maltese who at the moment are very much being led the dance, as you'd expect, but no goals yet. And Winter in the number 6 jersey. All the Serie A men are here in force. Clarence Zeedorf, that exciting young talent at Ajax, getting his chance tonight. And it's Bergkamp with a lovely turn, not on the favoured foot, and just sliding away when the Dutchman had done all the hard work. Hasn't settled at Inter, and really has been an unhappy time for the Dutchman, but when he pulls on that orange jersey, as England know only too well to their cost, he is a man transformed. And there's a great eagerness and a great appetite tonight about the man in the number 10 jersey as he lays it on for Brian Roy. Will this be the first? No, it won't. So nearly an own goal. And the man from the City ground shows his frustration, flashes in a cross-come shot, and the defender in the end did well to leave it alone. Heartwarming to see just how involved Bergkamp is here early on. He's at the centre of everything, lining it up for Aaron Winter. And there it is, the first for Holland, and it's Zeedorf. It's the youngster picking up secondary ball after it had been laid back on the edge of the D by Dennis Bergkamp. And Clarence Zeedorf from Ajax opens the scoring. There it is, keeper might just have got a touch onto the crossbar, but down and over the line. And a wonderful moment for Zeedorf to savour the first goal at this level for Guus Hiddink. And the Dutch are on the warpath. 1-0 they lead. And it's about, well, I was going to say it's about time they scored as we move forward into the second half. But with these edited highlights, it doesn't show you the true picture of great defending at times from the Maltese, who were on the rack, as you saw, for most of the first period. So we turn around in the second period, and it's the Dutch with the cushion of that goal given them on 38 by Zeedorf. In the second half, however, they were really to make their class tell. And Brian Roy just wondering what he had to do to get on the score sheet. Camilleri's header into the path of Roy, and in the end behind for a corner off Galea. Malta going into this game on the bottom of Group 5, no surprise there. Poor defending again from the part-timers at the set piece. They've picked up just 1 point in Group 5 so far. That was at home against the Czech Republic, perhaps a surprise that. Sharper and quicker to the ball. Aaron Winter this time, surely Brian Roy. No, still he can't hit the target. And on another night, It might have been a hat-trick for the Nottingham Forest man. Lim Jonk picking out Frank de Boer. Dutch defence hardly tested in this game as it became shooting practice, and that's a penalty kick. Inside the final 20 minutes, the match was really to run away from the plucky Maltese players, as stamina, finesse and eventually class was to tell. It's Bergkamp who wins the penalty, and it's the same player who steps up from 12 yards to convert. Number 2 for the Netherlands. On 76, Dennis Bergkamp marks his return to the full national side with a goal. And what a remarkable scoring record he has. That's his 23rd goal now for his country in 39 games. 2-0 to Holland on the night. And now a question of just how many more the Dutch could run in. Norway, of course, the group leaders, were also looking to bolster their goal tally with a trip to Luxembourg. We'll see what happened there at the end of this one. But the Dutch really had their tails up now going into the final 10 minutes. Over on the far side with Erik van der Loer, the substitute from Roda, surprise side in the Dutch First Division this season, and yet another corner kick to put the Maltese keeper Kluit under more pressure, conceded by Richard Bouhagier, another of the Floriana players in the lineup. Well, the Maltese defence had problems all evening dealing with set-piece play and corner kicks, lacking in height, and this time they're not to wriggle off the hook, as number 3 is forced over the line by Aaron Winter. We'll see it again on the replay here. Mark Overmars swings it into the near post. A header that comes back, first from the post, a deflection from the keeper, and in the end it's oh so simple for Aaron Winter from a couple of yards. Just over 5 minutes left on the clock now. Appeals for another penalty. Bergkamp again the man involved. But this time the referee from Iceland, Orson, said no. Dutch fans, some of the most vociferous in Europe, with a Mexican wave around the stadium, enjoying what they see. And it was about to get better for them as number 4 goes home. 6 minutes from time, and it's the second substitute, Patrick Kluivert, who makes it number 4 for his country. And it's a final tally that the Dutch had to settle for. The crowd were more than happy with that, and so indeed after the game was new trainer Guus Hiddink. Dennis Bergkamp, who had scored from the spot earlier on in the game, had really been at the centre of so much of the Dutch attacking play. This time his header knocked back across the 6-yard line, and alert thinking by the young Ajax man Kluivert to divert the ball beyond Kluit. First time for number 4. And anything less than 4 against these part-timers from the island of Malta would surely not have been acceptable. But this, remember, comes hard on the heels of a 5-0 win over Luxembourg, and the Dutch now beginning to warm nicely to their task in Group 5. Ed de Goey having a quiet night of things. Dennis Bergkamp proving a real handful, as he would indeed for any defence when he's in the mood, as he was on this occasion. Still one of the finest players in Europe, if not the world. And let's hope he can rediscover his golden touch when he leaves his tribulations at Inter behind him with a move in the summer. At the end of the 90 minutes then, 35,000 fans going home into the Rotterdam night, delighted with a return to form from that man Dennis Bergkamp. Delighted too from what they've seen from the hotshots of Holland as they paced Malta with 3 second-half goals, building on that lead given them by Zeedorf in the first half. Bergkamp from the penalty, Aaron. So added pressure then on Norway to get a result. In a snowstorm in Luxembourg, they're in the all-white strip. That might have had something to do with the home defenders not picking up their man with the first goal coming in for the Norwegians, the group leaders. It's Øyvind Leonardsen, the Wimbledon man, who spurs his side on to a fine 2-0 win here, scoring the first after 35 minutes following good work in the setup by Haaland. Well, as the snow got thicker, Norway got stronger. Not surprising, feeling well at home in snowy Luxembourg. They wrapped it up 10 minutes from time. Second half substitute Gunnar Orsa, and that second laid on by, yes, you've guessed it, Leonardsen, who was having quite a game. In fact, Leonardsen was brought down for a penalty. There it is. But by this stage in the proceedings, leading 2-0, Norway's Rekdal could afford the luxury of seeing his spot kicks saved. Luxembourg finished with 10 men, Norway with the points, 2-0 for the leaders. Comfortable win then for both Norway and also for the Netherlands in Group 5, and also for the Czech Republic, beating Belarus by 4-2. It means wins for the leading 3 nations in this group, so no change in the table. Kadlec, Patrick Berger with 2, and Kuka the scorers for the Czech Republic, who remain 3 points. Welcome back as Eurosport continues its comprehensive coverage of all the action midweek into Group 6 now, and the confrontation at Lansdowne Road between ERA, the Republic of Ireland, and Northern Ireland. Well, it's the Republic who take the lead 2 minutes after half-time in a scrappy affair, strong wind and a hard pitch, making quality football somewhat difficult. And Brian Hamilton's Northern Ireland side setting out to really frustrate the home nation, who go ahead following that free kick through Manchester City's Niall Quinn, taking advantage of poor marking to volley home. Jack Charlton thought his team had done enough, thought one goal would do it for his side, who had a 100% record at the start of the night. But Ian Dowie's header on 73, after great work by Gillespie down the flank, tied it up at all square. And the goal from Ian Dowie, the first ever scored by a Northern Ireland player at Lansdowne Road. Lots of goals we promised you this evening, and that's what we're about to see as we journey now to Salzburg, still in this group, for Austria in the white shirts on a very cold evening against little Latvia. That's the first goal of the evening. There may well have been the sound of music in the hills over Salzburg after this one Wednesday night, as the Austrians breathed life into their campaign with a tremendous performance against the lowly Latvian nation. 4th in the group going into the match with 3 points from 3 games. Austria welcomed back Andy Herzog after a long injury layoff, and here it was opening the scoring there, as you saw from the edge of the box after 18 minutes play. Herzog, who was dropped after a dispute with trainer Prohaska, laying on the second just before half-time. The free kick from the goal scorer, this time turning provider, and number 2 for Austria from the head of Pfeifenberger. 2-0 Austria then at the break. Just 4,000 here incidentally for this game in Salzburg. Well, they certainly missed a night to remember as the Austrians went on to record a tremendous win with 3 further goals in the second half. Andy Herzog, who this week will complete a move from Werder Bremen to Bayern Munich, makes it 3 on 58, cleverly picking out the space between defenders and keeper. and Austria hadn't finished yet. Penalty kick coming up, 19 minutes from time for that foul. And the dead ball specialist, the wily old bird in this Austrian side, entering the veteran stage is Anton Tony Polster, the Cologne player with the little John Aldridge dummy. That's his trademark too. Makes it 4-0 on the night to the Austrians. And as the snow travelled eastwards across Europe from Luxembourg to Salzburg, nothing to dampen the Austrian spirits, as it's that man Polster again wrapping it up in the 90th minute with a deft free kick that finds the top corner. And for the small crowd, great reward for turning out on such a chilly evening. The Latvians put to the sword, losing by 5-0. So those results then from Group 6, meaning no change. And Northern Ireland's point in Dublin, keeping them in third place. But Austria gaining great confidence with that thrashing of Little.
A day of great excitement in Georgia as the local authorities asked the local population if they would please not use local appliances so they could power the floodlights. Well, it was Jürgen Klinsmann who turned the lights off. In glorious fashion, that swashbuckling style of his gave the Germans the lead in 24 minutes. Georgia, of course, had been keyed up after that trouncing of Wales. Everybody on edge here. Could they do it against one of the major nations? This was to be the real test of the new nation. Unfortunately, they found Klinsmann in deadly style. A goal virtually out of nothing. Jürgen Klinsmann 2, Georgia 0. From then on, all downhill for the Georgians, and Germany should have increased their lead. A professional performance, and even at the end, a little consolation goal was denied them.